Hey guys, Greg and Ryan here, back for another
What's up?
AHS breakdown. This is Season 5 of Hotel on Episode 3. It is called Mommy.
Again, spoilers ahead. Let's jump into it.
All right, Mommy is, of course, a reference to the kind of maternal relationship that a handful of characters have in this episode and this season. But also, Greg, it's kind of been an ongoing theme throughout the series of American Horror Story.
Yes, it's a trope that they've used many times, and we've recently seen it too in seasons for like 1984. Who was it? Lavinia Richter and Benjamin Richter. Yes, they use it all the time. And this season, in this episode included, there's at least two moms we got here, right? Or more than that. Or is it three? I think it was three, actually.
I mean, we have Alex Lowe and Holden and Scarlett, obviously, right? And the dynamics between, losing a child. Then you obviously have Iris and Donovan and that complex relationship that we see throughout this episode. And also, let's not forget, the Countess is a motherly figure, I mean, for all those vampire children. And
those babies.
She's also a motherly figure for everyone that she creates, everyone that she turns into a vampire as well. So a whole handful of kind of examples of the maternal character and the relationship, the dynamics that go in between that. And it's not only good, some of it's, a good example of a relationship, some is horrible. They're actually, none of them are actually really good examples of a maternal relationship, right?
No.
What am I thinking about? They're all pretty poor, and they're all very complex, and they have a lot of problems with them. And kind of, this is one of the episodes where we pretty much see it unfold and kind of all come to a clearer picture.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? The Cordelia and Fiona, motherly bond they had was great. Nothing bad happened at all. It was a wonderful, wonderful relationship between the two of them.
It was beautiful, Greg. It was beautiful.
Now, the mother trope isn't the only one in this episode alone. We also brought back suicide. Rape was in the first episode, which is another big trope that's you've seen in every season for AHS. And, of course, we also have copycat killers. 10 Commandments.
Now, the episode opens with Tristan going into James Patrick March's room after he learns about kind of the backstory last episode from Iris, I believe. And now he's kind of like, I want to meet the guy, right? I want to come face to face and meet the guy and kind of figure out what he's all about.
That's what you do. It's AHS. You're in a haunted, hotel. If you're in a haunted house and you're like, Tate, where are you? Or it just, for this particular instance, it's James March. And he shows up.
You're the greatest serial killer who's ever lived.
It's fitting, guys. We're talking about Tristan, and little puppy Finn decided to come take a nap right next to me. You can see him over there. He'll be here all episode. Greg, are you surprised how quickly Tristan turns into this really evil, horrible person? Like, remember, he was a model before this that used a lot of drugs, and we were led to believe that he was a bad boy. But he seems totally, cool and chill about, meeting all of these serial-killing ghosts and vampires and just becoming a full-blown, horrible, horrible person.
Lady Gaga turned him into a vampire, okay? And now he can essentially live forever if he follows the rules. And so he doesn't care. He has a golden ticket now. He doesn't care.
I guess it really tells you a lot about his character prior to being turned into a vampire and kind of the fabric of his being, right? Like how evil he can actually be at once he becomes immortal in this sense that we see in the season this year.
How do you know all this?
I Googled you.
That sounds obscene.
It was cool when March asked Tristan straight up, how did you know all this info about me? He says, well, I Googled you. And March is like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, his reaction is pretty hysterical, how repulsed he is by the sound of, I Googled you. If he only knew how powerful Google really is and was back then, Greg, then he would be terrified.
God, yes.
By the way, Tristan also is introduced to a little bit more of James March's story, specifically kind of how he killed people, like that black closet.
Yes, he shows in the room.
How horrific was that? That was incredible.
Basically an impaling room where you just push someone in it. Cool.
Then, of course, Will Drake and Claudia Bankson, a.k.a. Claudia Schiffer, Tyra Banks, Naomi Campbell, all in one.
Yep.
They show up, and basically he's like, what are you doing here, Tristan? Are you, kind of hanging out in the hotel? We told you, we kicked you out of here. Crazy. But then he also notices that there's no scar on him anymore. So he's kind of like, what the hell is going on? But he has no clue really, like what to, what might be really happening.
But we also get a sense of when the way he was caressing him too, that this is going to come back around later on in the episode, or at least his creepy caress he gives him.
This scene ends on a pretty funny moment when Naomi Campbell's character, she kind of sends this dismissive jab at Tristan, saying, "Oh, models," because he's just like acting a fool right now. And it's funny coming from Naomi Campbell, who's had her own kind of run-ins back in the day. But it's just funny, a little nod to like Tristan being a complete kind of asshole.
Where's my phone so I can beat someone's ass with it?
Models.
We check back in on Alex, and she's checking in on another patient. It's the same child with the measles from the anti-vaxxer mom from the last episode. She checks back in on him, and now he's got pneumonia, so they got to rush him to the hospital at this point.
And Greg, thanks to a little voiceover from Mama Alex, we get all this exposition, kind of all this stuff explained on her inner monologue, her thoughts, and kind of what happened to her and how she kind of took the loss of her own child, and how she became kind of a cliche in terms of trying to save every other child in the world that she can as a doctor. But she also reveals that she doesn't really feel like she's loved anything like she did Holden.
Yeah.
And it was such a terrible loss for her. She didn't love her husband as much. She didn't love her other child as much, Scarlett. She loved, like, Holden was her soulmate. And without Holden, she has no reason to live or to move forward.
The melodrama here, again, it's at an all-time high in this scene. That shot alone of her like on the bed with, I think, Holden, and then just you can see in the background everybody else just like, oh, just like that one meme of the woman in the background, like, oh no. Okay, here's a little Easter egg from the episode. Alex grabs some coffee at the hospital. Now she presses a button, and on that button it says something. Ryan, what does it say?
Yeah, Greg, I really, whenever coffee's involved, I'm a huge coffee fan, so I pay extra close attention when I see coffee. But yeah, she hits A5. I mean, that's an obvious nod to season 5 of American Horror Story this season, American Horror Story Hotel. Fun little nod for all you coffee lovers out there.
Now, one last thing on Alex and this whole backstory we get on her character when it comes to Holden. We also learn that she, after Holden's disappearance, she becomes suicidal. She tries to kill herself. She was saved. Again, this is a almost foreshadowing too for what happens later in this episode, but we see this a lot in AHS. And this time around, looks like it's showing again how the dynamic in this family just tore apart the second Holden went missing.
Yeah, and we also learned, as Scarlett is kind of telling her parents about what she saw in Hotel Cortez more recently, whereas John Lowe doesn't really believe her, but kind of believes her because he's seen some things in that hotel. Alex takes it kind of a little bit harder and doesn't know why Scarlett would be kind of messing with her and hurting her and punishing her even more. So until Alex actually comes face to face with the horrors at the hotel itself, she doesn't really know what is going on, and she thinks that everything is make believe, is made up, and that it's all just this one big punishment for herself.
And I don't understand, Scarlett. It's like you're trying to hurt me.
We're back with Naomi / Claudia / Banks, Tyra, one more time with her, and this time she's, it seems like this scene is setting up basically a Psycho moment from beginning to end as you see her in her nightie to start things off, and right from there she gets on the bed, and surprise, new mattress king, Gabriel comes out and grabs her, and he turns, and what does he do? He stab, just like in Psycho. I feel like this was a major homage to Psycho, and I loved it.
Yeah, two things, Greg. Check your mattress before you fall asleep, especially in a creepy hotel. Like, just check the mattress. There's no need to, like, jump on a mattress. You might feel a body when you lay on it.
Look
that's a big no-no. Run out of the hotel.
Push it. Yeah, all of it. Do everything you can.
Get out of the hotel immediately. Number two, Gabriel is just attack mode off the bat, right? It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, he thinks it's Sally McKenna, right, at first, because Sally.
Is it his new job in the hotel? Is that his new position? He's like, hey, when someone sits on this bed, you got to get to stabbing, and then you go back in it or something. I don't know. But he had a mission here. Now we head over to a detective scene where John Lowe and his partner are looking over looks like a gossip site, like a TMZ thing, that seems like the 10 Commandments killer has struck again. And what was it this time around? They nailed their tongues to the desk, and they wiped them out. It's pretty gnarly.
Thou shalt not bear false witness.
Lies. Stop the
all
lies.
The lies of the tabloids. This is a major shot at like tabloid journalists, right? This seems pretty spot on. But basically, they also make a reference to the Charlie Hebdo shooting back in France, when an Islamic terrorist group killed like 12 people, injured 11 at the satire weekly newspaper Charlie Hebdo. A real life kind of reference in the sense of kind of in reference to what is happening in the show itself here. So I mean, we have seen this happen in real life, unfortunately. But it kind of shows that they have no clue kind of what's going on with this murder scene. John does because of the 10 Commandments, kind of linking that in his brain. Later on, but. They're kind of, is it a terrorist? Is it a serial killer? They don't know exactly who would be responsible for such a thing.
Yeah. John Lowe at this time, so he's a detective at the LAPD, or does he work with the FBI? Because this seems like something that would go above him now at this level of crime. I feel like this wouldn't be his case anymore, but it's a TV show. So
Greg, that is a very good point. Yeah, at some point it feels like the FBI might have, come in and taken over if this many people have been murdered, and there are some connections across the different multiple murders. But he's still at the scene week to week.
Yep. Hey, it reminds me of like Riverdale or any of those Archie shows, or Sabrina, where it's like everyone who's a millennial or just above the age of 25 runs the entire town. And if you're older, you're the parent, or just like you're just the cop or some parent who says, get out of here, kids. But it's like the same thing in AHS. The main character runs the town no matter what the scenario is. Now, back to Tristan for a moment. Now, James March wants Drake dead. He doesn't want Drake to touch a single thing in the hotel. So he needs him gone ASAP. So Tristan says, I'm going to help you out. They set up a scene. They set up a moment with Drake and Tristan where they're having a little, one-on-one adventure, and things go a little, further with Drake and Tristan. And Tristan's ready to just stab him through his quick neck stab we saw in the last episode. But Countess is there, and she just axes that. She immediately says, no, that's not the way we're going to try to do this. And he agrees for the time being.
That's right, Greg. The Countess has a different plan. She doesn't want to kill Drake just yet. She has a plan to marry Drake to get all of his money, and then to kill him so that she can kind of recoup all of the wealth that he has. So they both, James March and the Countess want Drake dead, but for different reasons.
She got that Anna Nicole Smith plan going. She knows what she's doing. It's all good. So John's back at the hotel, and he runs into Sally in the elevator. They have a little bit of a heart-to-heart, I guess. But a lot of crazy stuff happens in this short sequence. And the lights are flashing, and we also see, again, that addiction demon. That creepy addiction demon's following John wherever he goes in this hotel, along with Sally. Every time you see the addiction demon, Sally's close by. So
it feels to me, like I said this before, like it feels like she summons the addiction demon, or it's some sort of manifestation of her when she's around. And if someone, it doesn't always take the person and attack, but like at certain moments it does, obviously. But this whole elevator ride would have freaked me the hell out. I mean, this ghost is kind of coming on to you, and then like it was straight up like Tower of Terror. I mean, there's like lights and there's shaking, and it's like, this isn't normally how the elevator operates, right? I mean,
my nightmare.
This is another thing to put in that TripAdvisor review for this hotel. God. I mean, nearly, feels like you're about to die when you come down the elevator.
I hate clowns, and I hate being stuck in elevators. That's my other fear. I can't do it. Nope. I'll just take the stairs. Now we head over to Donovan and Iris to see how their relationship's going. It's great. No, I'm just kidding. It's horrible. It's gone downhill. Donovan despises Iris. Iris wants.
It's even worse than despises, Greg. I think you can even call it like a little bit worse than that.
It is.
It's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous.
She wants to set up a place for them to live together now that he's broken up with the Countess, and he's like, "What are you talking about? First of all, like, I hate your guts. He always respected his father, even though she tells him he was a deadbeat. He shouldn't do this, and he says that his dad told him the second he's old enough to get out, he should leave, and he did.
Yeah.
Now apparently this has to do with the fact that they were some kind of vegetarian cult, he said he pooped his pants at school because of all the fiber they had in his diet.
Greg, what a reason to hate your mother to death. That's it.
That could cause some scars, but I don't know if it's going to cause that big of one. It's a huge
definitely.
hole.
Definitely. But like, maybe she's a bit overbearing. Maybe she was a bit selfish, but it sounds from her explanation of the story, it sounds like she was trying to do what she could as a single mother, and that the father was kind of nowhere to be seen, was just totally checked out of the situation.
Yeah.
And then, as adolescents do, they kind of, go against the maternal and paternal figures at a certain moment of their lives, and, maybe go and hang out, want to hang out with the other parent. But like, it sounds like she was doing the best she could with the resources she had.
Yeah.
And he kind of is just hell-bent on just like getting her out of his life, and even goes so far as to say, like, why don't you kill yourself? Like,
yeah.
Just horrible
stuff. She pulls out the tears as her last resort. She pulls the tears out, and he just comes up to her right in her face and says, why don't you just kill yourself? Come on. Yikes. This relationship's on a downturn.
Honestly, if that is really true, you should kill yourself. You should do it even if it isn't.
So Donovan ditches his mom after telling her to go kill herself, and he goes out on town. It seems like he's searching for kind of like a midnight snack. Gonna go get some blood in his system, and then he runs into Ramona Royale, played by the legendary Angela Bassett. Our first introduction to her character this season.
Welcome back. Now you can see that Donovan, it was a little blurry at first. I think it's because he was, remember how they say where you get your blood is important too, or where you feed. So he was apparently feeding on junkies. So, and that caused his, vision to be a little blurry at the time when he goes after Ramona. Doesn't work out. And she takes him right back to her mansion, where we find out her backstory, her silky fine backstory, I guess. What do you want to call that? It's awesome.
I don't get on my knees for no man.
Cut! Check
Woo! That look good.
Now there's a montage of blaxploitation films that pop up right after that. I think one of them is Slaughter Sister, Silky Fine, and The Bride of Blackenstein. I want to make Bride of Blackenstein. I would love to direct that. Just let me write and direct that movie. I'll do it right now. But with that said, it's cool that they gave her this quick, what is it, like maybe 2 minutes of screen time to quickly get her backstory in there. And not only that, we have much more to come with her character, as she would also talk to Donovan about her relationship with the Countess.
Yeah, like you said, Greg, this entire montage was just so much fun to be rooted in an American Horror Story version of the real life, like, history of cinema. In this time period, I can only imagine Angela Bassett having like so much fun with this montage, the sequence of playing the character Ramona Royale, and then we learn, as you said, how her world kind of intersects with the Countess's, with Elizabeth's world at the Hotel Cortez, and basically, they meet each other and they fall in love. But the problem is that the Countess doesn't like it when you kind of spread your wings too far and you go and fall in love yourself, or try to turn. You can't try to turn another vampire. Basically, she's very possessive over who she turns, and she finds out about one man that Ramona Royale is about to turn and does turn, and she flips out and kills basically everybody. So
God, that shot.
Now it's
I can't get over that shot of when the second the Countess turns her chair, that reveal when Ramona and her at the time lover step into that room, immediately just that shot. I've seen it so many times now, but just the tears down her eyes, the drama, everything. I laugh every time I see it to this day. It's one of my favorite shots. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. It's so funny. But also as ridiculous is the fact that Lady Gaga can easily turn a gun on that big dude and shoot him in the face, how quickly she did. But hey, vampire strength, right?
Vampire strength, yes.
Vampire
quick,
strength.
Boom, just it's fast.
Yeah. So basically, Ramona Royale is kind of on a revenge tour, so to speak. She tells Donovan she wants someone to get on the inside. She needs his help. Unfortunately, he just broke up with her, obviously, but her plan is revenge against the Countess and to kill her vampire children and just kind of just wipe her out completely. So, the Countess better be on the lookout because there's like war coming for her.
Now, speaking of Ramona Royale and that cool blaxploitation scene, I'm actually doing a video on the channel next week on the origins of blaxploitation, and we're looking at what else happens today, like when it comes to black representation. So look out for that for next week.
I better warn you, I got a black belt in karate. And I got my black belt in bar stool.
Now let's pick up at the late night at Hotel Cortez. John hanging out in the bar. He does this really long stare at the elevator as it's going up. And if you look closely at the framing on the actual metal framing on the outside of the elevator itself, there's like a profile of a 16th or 17th century explorer. You see like the Elizabethan collar and the helmet. It feels like a small nod, Greg, I might be crazy here, but it feels like a small nod to the next season of AHS, Roanoke, the Roanoke colony, kind of the settlers in the area. Maybe completely unrelated at all, but it's weird that it pops up at the Art Deco stylings of this hotel in downtown Los Angeles.
Next up, Alex meets John at the lobby of the hotel bar. Cool. I think I guess that's where you go in LA.
Greg, my question is, who are the other people at this bar right now? We see people in the background. Like, is it word of mouth that they just found this? Is this like a speakeasy vibe in downtown LA that you just kind of found, or a friend of a friend told you about, or is it like on Yelp, or like are they all ghosts and they're just like kind of surrounded by like dead people?
Yeah, you can grab a martini and talk and chat with Richard Ramirez whenever you want. So cool, I guess. Now, Alex, she wants a divorce here. The main reason for this whole conversation is she just wants a divorce with John. Now, John, his expressions here, or lack thereof, for the most part, seems like he was when they have a moment where they actually, they bond together and it looks like they're about to have sex. But what does he say right before that? I want a baby. I want another baby. Which immediately, like anyone, would just push him off. And she goes and she heads out for the door and tells him she's going to give him the divorce paperwork as soon as possible. But again, John, his mind right now is all over the place with Holden, this crazy hotel, and also the investigation going on right now for the 10 Commandments killing. So Alex wants no part of this, though. She's trying to hit the eject button at this point.
Yeah, and then we see Alex actually, after she leaves the room, she runs into the dead Naomi Campbell. So she's freaked out immediately. And this is when kind of like I think that her thinking, her worldview of what is going on kind of expands, and she kind of realizes of what the powers of the hotel has, because she then finds Holden down the hallway in a very Shining-esque sequence, and she realizes that her son is literally in front of her and didn't think it was possible. So everything that she kind of dreamed of, her whole world is kind of upside down at this point.
Holden?
Hi, Mommy.
Now, we talked about the Countess and her plan with Will Drake. Now, the reason being for this plan, though, is that she was a part of Bernie Madoff's crew, or at least part of she was a client of Bernie Madoff and lost everything after he went away. So this is the reason why she's trying to get back into power at this point. And we're going to find out later on down the road of other ways she tried or attempted to get into power too with other figures on this show.
Yeah. Greg, she needs that money back. She lost all her money, all her stocks, all of her investments. This is another funny way that American Horror Story has always kind of reeled in some like real life references.
Blend them.
And yeah, super random, but like reeled them in and kind of made that part of the story. We saw this in like Cult with the Zodiac Killer, you know, just completely ridiculous, moments in our culture that are then tied into the kind of the reality of what we watch in this season. But it was a fun little nod that like kind of she was wiped out by Bernie Madoff, and then now she has to kind of, get back at somebody.
2015, because they're thinking, okay, what's topical? What the hell can I put in here? What happened to her money? Bernie Madoff. Boom, got it. Print it. Let's go. And finally, we head back to check in on Iris. She's with Sally, and it looks like she's attempting suicide. She asks for Sally's help to handle this situation. So she tries to give her a hot dose, which apparently didn't work. And she can take it, apparently like a champ. Yeah. So she attempts then to put a bag over her head, because before she does that, though, she says, "Are you sure? Is this it? You got no, was it loose ends or anything you gotta, fix up before you do this, because you're gone." But even though I assumed that she would just turn into a ghost right after that, even if she did kill herself there. But Sally seems to point out that maybe that's not the case with the rules at the Hotel Cortez. We'll see. But with that said, she puts the bag over her head, but Donovan steps in there, and he does the exact opposite of what she wanted to happen, and he turns her into a vampire. Uh-oh.
A little bit of irony here, Greg,
just
right?
A little.
Because he yells at her and hates that she helped him survive from his near overdose and death. Mm-hmm. Iris got the Countess to turn him and save his life, and now he's doing the same to her despite her wishes. And also another layer of this is that he is doing the unforgivable sin of turning someone into a vampire, even after the Countess has told him how kind of special and unique that situation is, and you can't really do that. So he's doing the unthinkable. He's turning someone when he shouldn't be turning them, and now there's going to just be more vampires in this damn hotel.
Don't tell the Countess. That's it. Or we're going to see what happens to Iris in the very next episode, and we'll check back in on Ramona too. But until then, everyone, please be safe. We hope you're enjoying these breakdowns along with us, because we love doing them, and we will be back here next week for episode 4.
Next week, Greg, is Devil's Night, episode 4, which means we get to
Ramirez.
We get Richard Ramirez again, and we get to finally explore the biggest plot hole in American Horror Story history.
Sure. I'm down. Halloween.
See you then.
Later.